Welcome to the Emotional Balance Sheet, the go-to podcast for parents with multiple kids, especially those with twins, triplets, or more, who are navigating the maze of modern family life and personal finance. Whether you're overwhelmed by education or retirement planning, parenting dilemmas, career transitions, or trying to define your purpose and plan, we're here to guide you with empathy, encouragement, and expertise. Hosted by Paul Fenner, founder of Tama Capital, a certified financial planner and parent to 4 kids, including a set of triplets. Our podcast is your ally in the quest for financial peace of mind, proving that money matters, but family comes first. Subscribe now and join our community of empowered parents at tamacapital.com. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Clients of Tama may retain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast.
What does comprehensive financial planning even mean? At Tama Capital, it means a family office where lifestyle planning such as retirement, college, portfolio management, and tax prep and planning are all under one umbrella. But it goes beyond numbers. We focus as much on the emotional side of financial planning as we do on the financial side. We get you. We understand your challenges of building a family, business or career, and a healthy life. We are devoted to wealth planning for families like yours because we are you. Learn how our family can help your family by visiting tamacapital.com. Hi, and welcome back. I was actually on vacation a few weeks ago, and every afternoon I would head down to the beach to read. And every day I would see these, it had to be at least 2 or 3 older couples that looked like they may have been retired or in the process of retiring. But every day they would sit on their boats for hours on end and just talk and just sit there. And every day I would wonder, like, what in the heck are these people talking about? Like, how could there be so much to talk about day in and day out and just sitting on their boat in the bay? And it kind of dawned on me that, in thinking about, because I get the question all the time, like, well, what are you going to do like when you retire, Paul? And I honestly tell people, I'm like, I don't know. I don't necessarily have a retirement plan because I love what I do as a financial advisor, as a person that helps families grow and develop both financially and personally. And I've made the comment, as long as I have my cognitive abilities, I will probably continue to help support the families I've worked with all these years into the foreseeable future. And I'm sure that I'll slow down. But what was interesting about this thought was, I don't think that I could do that. I don't think that I could just sit there and as much as I like to talk to people for hours on end. And again, I have no idea what they were talking about. And because I feel like I don't have to be doing something, but I want to be doing something. And it kind of made me think about the career I had before I started Tama, when I was in the corporate world and being in finance and accounting and operations and engineering. And for the most part, a lot of the families I work with here at Tama have corporate roles. And I know that there are a lot of people that really struggle with their career, their job choice. And it's something that I've always struggled with in helping them. Because if there's one thing I've learned in almost 4 years of hosting this show and having conversations with experts of all different backgrounds, is that creating awareness for what you want or what you're looking for is the first step. But here's what I've kind of beaten my head against the wall over these last few years, and having conversations with people on this show, especially Dr. Jennifer Dragonette. Well, having that awareness is great because you gotta know where to start. It's taking action that I think is the most hardest part. And sadly, in the almost 20 years I've been an advisor now, I see people come to me and want to take action when something happens in their life that maybe isn't necessarily good. Somebody loses a job, a career change, a relationship ends, a death in the family, losing a close friend. Those are kind of like life's wake-up calls to say, okay, I really need to do something. But what if you don't have those wake-up calls? What if you're just going through your day-to-day life and realizing and being aware that this is not what you want to do, but not doing anything about it? And I think that's the answer to the question that I've been searching for a long time. And I'm really lucky. I'm really fortunate. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, whether I was born with it or picked it up from early mentors, was this drive and understanding of what I really wanted to do, which is why I can honestly say that I don't know what my retirement looks like, because I love what I do and I enjoy the people that I help to support. But I also know the other side of that, because I had a corporate career that I absolutely hated. And I knew that I would not be able to spend another 20 plus years doing what I was doing. And again, fortunately, I had an idea, I had a plan, and it worked out. Hard work, some luck. But I think going back to that drive, and I think part of this was, when I look back at it now, instilled in me when I was at a young age and very influential, because I worked for a couple entrepreneurs, Daryl and Melody Hoff. Daryl has since passed away. But they ran a small oil company where we would deliver fuel oil and gasoline to rural farmers in our community that we lived in. And it was that, I think that work ethic, that kind of planted that seed. And watching them work hard and have failures and success, but they always knew what they wanted. They always had a plan. And I think that's where personally I struggle with trying to help people, is I can help people create that awareness. But just because you have that awareness doesn't mean that you're going to take action. And another good example is, I have one family in particular that comes to mind that really struggles with their career. And from a financial standpoint, I've pointed out to them time and time again that they don't need to have the one spouse have the role that they have. They can take a sabbatical. They could take time off to think about what they want to do. Because in the day-to-day, because these most of the families I work with have kids. They're in a life stage where that Teresa and I are in right now, where we have soon to be triplet freshmen and an 8th grader. It's hard to find the time Monday through Sunday, it doesn't matter, Monday through Friday, to step back and really think about what it is that you want to do with your career, chasing kids, trying to have a relationship with your wife. These are your spouse, wife, husband. These are all things that we've talked about nearly over the last 400 years, 4 years and 200 episodes on this show. And today marks the 200th episode of the Emotional Balance Sheet podcast, which is why I wanted to talk about this very topic. Because I don't have an answer for the struggle for people to find a way to take action. But that's what I'm going to keep having conversations with people on the show about in different shapes and forms with the families I work with at TAMA. Because everybody's different. Everybody's going to find their own way to go about trying to make that change. But I want to be part of that process. I want to help encourage people that, whether it's from a financial perspective, that they're okay, that they can do something that they may not realize, or help encourage them from a personal or emotional standpoint because they're afraid to take such a drastic change in their life. Regardless, that's what I'm hoping people get out of the show, and the guests that come on, and for me to do these solo podcast episodes. And I will come on and talk about specific things related to specific financial planning topics like taxes and Roth conversions and things of that nature that are all important. They're all table stakes in the financial planning process. But as I often tell people, 20% of what I do as an advisor is financial and 80% of it is emotions. And that's why I named the show The Emotional Balance Sheet. And I'm a firm believer that I don't believe in balance per se. I believe in finding harmony, because there are going to be times in your life where your work or your career needs you more than your family. And there's going to be times when your spouse, your family needs you more than your career or job. And so when you imagine that teeter-totter, it's never a horizontal line. There's always one piece that's up and always one piece that's down. And trying to find the harmony between those, I think, is one of the keys to having a happy life. So with that said, I want to thank everyone who have tuned in to 1 or 2 or even 200 episodes of the Emotional Balance Sheet podcast. It'll be 4 years in October when I released the first episode with Scott Capeller, who's a triplet dad that lives in my community here in Michigan. And it's been an amazing venture, amazing journey. And I can't wait to continue it with a couple twists here and there along the way. But again, thank you for all of your support. And hopefully you've been able to take away something from what I've said, from what some of our, hundreds of guests have said, because this show is all about you and us finding our way to finding harmony. Now that you've made it to the end of another great conversation, are you looking for more? If so, head over to tamacapital.com, where you will find all of our conversations. Use the search feature to find the topic or guest you would love to learn more about. Also, don't forget to make someone else's day by sharing our show. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.